Hey, people on the live, what's up? Just getting this space together. So yes, got some nice music going so I can help get myself centered to relax as I'm doing this, because breath work is going to be important when you're trying to stretch. We got a little kitty here. He's going to be my little helper. Come over here. Come over here. All right, he's being shy. That's Tomas, my baby. Let's see if I got all the materials I need. Some weights. So if you have, whether you have weight or not, or if you have just like heavy shit around you, I would suggest that you grab that so you can participate. There he is, Tomas. Let's see. Hip leg, blocks, leadership. Okay. Alright, so I've got all my tools. So I'm using 2 weights that are the same, one heavier weight. I have a yoga block. And then I have some type of thing to sit on. This could have also been 2 yoga blocks or a short kind of thing, but just needs to elevate your glutes off the ground a little bit. And then over here, I have a band. This is called a power band. And so these are a really great tool for resistance training, for power training. And they can, it's like hundreds of pounds for the thickest one of weights. You can use it for like assisted pull-ups or whatever. So good to invest in some of these. Work out in the park with them, like they're good for travel and stuff. So, and for stretching, which we're about to do a little bit of. So let me make sure I can see myself fully. Hopefully you can hear me. Awesome. Everything is good. Yes. Okay. So I like to do experiments sometimes where if there's a part of my body that's feeling a little icky, what's going to help with that, right? And so I'll try something and wait a little bit and see if that solves it. Okay, no. Try something else, see if that solves it. No, okay. Try this other thing, right? That way I can suss out exactly what might help this particular issue I'm having and also what the particular issue is. Because having back pain could be for so many reasons, right? A lot of people like to say it's because you have weak glutes or because you have a weak core, but there are several reasons for pain happening anywhere that might not even stem from the area itself, but something going on somewhere else in the body, and that's a casualty in all of it. So that's what happened with this time around. I was having pain right here, in kind of like my sacrum area, right, and kind of like the tailbone area, and I was like, okay, let's see, right? I want to apply heat, and that, kind of helped out some blood over there, and then I'm kind of just like doing some stretching, some side stretching. Okay, not really helping. Rolled out my glutes, rolled out my back, right, because it's at my back. Didn't really make it go away, and so then isolated one period of time to work on this mobility and completely back to normal, right? So then I found a routine of a couple of things that I could do to help with this, and so it's important to jot these things down, right, so you can come back to them, or you can be preventative, right, and do them beforehand, because maybe that's part of the issue too, that you're not almost kind of like prehabbing or doing these things beforehand to prevent these issues from happening. So it's because things were already tight that once I did my strength training on top of that, it compounded, and then I was feeling not so great. So I'm going to be doing this at least twice a week so that I don't have to be in that uncomfortable place, and I hope that it helps you as well. So the first also just talk about what this area does around your SI joints, right, your sacroiliac joints, by the sacrum and the ischium, right, 2 parts of your spine. When you're moving, right, your hip is, we kind of refer to it as, think about it as one bowl structure, but it has to be able to actually rotate like this, right, as I'm moving, right. One part is it's called nutation, but it's gonna rotate forward and back as you move. And so when this gets stuck and it can't shift like that at this junction, then you can, feel some of these issues and some of this tightness and limit in mobility or whatnot. So anyway, we're going to be working some things one side at a time in order to work through that. So the first thing we're going to do, sitting down, this is a butterfly stretch. So I'm going to sit down like so, and it would be great if you could sit against a wall, but if you feel some pinching or some discomfort inside your hip, then it might not feel so great to be all the way up like this. So go ahead and see if you can practice the core strength and the posture control to just sit upright by yourself. And so as you can see, look at I got all this space right here, right in between my knee and the floor. And so I'm going to use some assistance with a weight on each side. And I'm not just going to plop it on, right? I'm going to see, okay, how does my body respond to this? Because there is a mechanism when you try to stretch something too fast where your body will kind of recoil and clench up and make it worse. So everything nice and slow and easing into it. Hi, Thomas. So I'm going ahead and I'm putting that weight on either leg. And I can feel that one side is tighter, my left side is tighter, that knee is higher than the other side. So I'm trying to make sure that I can feel like even weight on both glutes on the ground. And I'm trying to kiss the soles of my feet together, right? So all my toes are touching one another, my heels are touching one another, the soles are touching. And so I'm just gonna sit here, and when you're stretching, you wanna try to hold that stretch, right? There's a time you kind of flow in and out of it, but right now, I want this to be static. And I'm gonna hold it for about 45 seconds to a minute. Depends on how tight you are and how much of a tolerance you have for, sometimes it's uncomfortable to be in a stretch. So I feel okay, I'm comfortable with this. Definitely tighter than I was a couple days ago. So after my 45 seconds is up, which is probably about right now, I'm going to ease the weight off. And I'm going to do the opposite with the stretch, right? So I'm open here, so now I'm going to close and open. Hopefully I have a little more range, right? So just trying to go through that, open and close. Also just open up here, maybe do a little stretch here. So coming out of that hip flexion, back down, okay? So I'm gonna get weight that's a little bit heavier because this is not cutting it for me. And these two kettlebells that I have, that I'm about to use, are 30 pounds each. I have experience doing this, so that's why I feel comfortable going with this amount of weight. So I'm going to get in the center first, the closest to me. And hopefully, maybe I can't see very well, but you'll be able to see from your vantage point, like how much closer my knee can get to the ground. So I'm on here, and I feel that now for sure. And then on the other side here. Whew, that feels good, right? And the whole no pain, no gain thing, bullshit. Discomfort is okay, but pain is not. We don't need that. And so, if it's to the point where you're gritting your teeth, holding your breath, right? These are signs that your body's like, I don't like this, danger, right? You're almost stopping other vital functions that you need because the sensation is, it's a lot. So in that case, back off, all right? Back off. Our body has these defense mechanisms for a reason. So you don't want to put it into an even more heightened state of kind of alarm by trying to push through thresholds that your body has, that you've reached already. So be kind to your body, okay? And so now I feel this stretch, it feels great. What I'm going to do now, this is a type of technique where you're at, the most stretch that you can kind of get, and then you're going to increase the tension in that range, and then relax. Okay? So now I'm stretched out here, and I'm going to push my knees up into this weight. It really can't move, right? The weight is heavier than the force I'm able to exert, but I'm at this point of tension in the stretch. So I'm pushing up for 5, 4, talk to y'all. Otherwise, I would be quiet. Focus on breathing. Deep inhales through my nose. Have my belly rise. I'm trying not to have my chest rise first. I guess more importantly, I'm trying not to have my traps like raising towards my ears when I breathe in, right? I don't want that. I don't want to first thing be that. So this is good. Now I've gotten into a little bit, of a deeper stretch. So I'm going to do that again. This contract release method, okay? So I'm going to press my knees up into the kettlebells like I'm trying to close the butterfly for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax even more. I think I got a little more range. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now, and it looks like my knees have come down further than when I was first in the pose. So that's a good sign, right? And you shouldn't expect it, like you didn't get this way, hopefully, you didn't get this way over like one session. So don't expect to reverse out of it in one session. It's something like anything else you have to do consistently, right? So that's that, right? So how many times would I do this contract and release kind of thing? 5 to 8 times is good, right? Holding it for 5 seconds and then letting it release. And just making sure that you breathe as you're doing this, okay? So next on our list is a weighted good morning. So that's gonna help stretch along the backside of your body. I'm gonna have one weight for that. And I'm gonna elevate myself because I already know things are tight with my hamstrings and my inner thighs. So this will also help actually with inner thigh stuff. So you notice so far, right, I'm talking about your lower back, an area in kind of like your back. It's really your pelvis, but most people would identify it as a back. But I haven't touched that, right? It's everything else that attaches to that, all these different things that are kind of pulling at that area or attach at that area, trying to release them or get some more pliability in them. So I've got my weight. I'm gonna hold it in front. I'm gonna hug it like I love it. I love my weights. And then what I'm gonna do is bow from the hip, right? So tilting my hip forward. I feel that stretch in my hamstrings intensely. And I feel it in my inner thighs. And then I'm gonna stop at the point where I feel like I'm not tilting from my hip anymore, because this would be from my back, and I don't want that. And then we'll come right back up. I'm gonna come down, I'm tilting, I'm trying to keep, from my head to my tailbone, trying to keep that as a straight diagonal line. And then I come back up. Again, bow. It's a bow, okay? I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Come down even more. Hopefully my back is staying still as I do that. But that's what I want you to be looking in a mirror for, right? Form checks. I say to be a good exerciser, you have to be a narcissist, and I believe it. You gotta look at yourself in the mirror. You gotta be obsessed with your form. I am. And I think that's why I don't get hurt anymore. And I don't want you to get hurt. So what I'm hoping that you see throughout me, doing this, is that I get a wider range. That I'm going in deeper, 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 right? And you gotta hang out in that uncomfortable spot, discomfort. That's okay. We're gonna overpower that. It's mental, right? This tightness that you're feeling. Unless you actually have adhesions, which is that's an actual kind of like physical, physiological phenomenon, but you gotta breathe and relax your central nervous system down and move these tissues. And I'm a big fan of weighted stretches, definitely moving in and out of that range. So that is going to be your seated good morning. I would definitely recommend trying it on an elevated surface first. It's going to be harder on the floor. All right. So next, this is one of my favorite stretches, and I think my clients have really been enjoying this over this past week that I've been having folks do it. And this is for your hip flexors, right? So for my people that sit at desks or in a seated position, driving a lot, you put it in a kind of shortened position, so it's good to lengthen that out. And so I have a band here. I talked about this power band. And I'm gonna put it around my hip that I'm trying to work on this flexor here. So I'm gonna try to put it across my butt cheeks, and we're getting real familiar with me in this band right now, okay? And so that leg is gonna go down. And so I wanna make myself nice and tall. So I want shoulders directly over my hips, and I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna be back here. I'm gonna right over my hips. And we're gonna do something that's called a pelvic tuck, right? So let me step back for a second. So this little arch, right? I wanna get rid of that by tucking just like so. I call it humping the air, okay? I'm gonna tilt just like that. So that's what I'm gonna do when I'm down in this position. So foot's down. I got a good amount of tension on here, right? Because I want it to be pulling my hip forward as I engage my glutes with that tuck. Shoulders are directly over my hips. I'm gonna deepen the lunge here while still keeping my shoulders over my hips. And then I feel that in that back leg. And it might just be concentrated right here to the flexor area, or it might go down the quad. For me, because I've already done this today, it's staying right to the front of the hip. But this morning when I did it, it was the whole front of the leg. So keep that tuck. So I'm gonna sit there for a second and let that work its thing. You have to give the stretch time, right? 30 to 45 seconds minimum, okay? Unless it's a more dynamic stretch. So now what I'm gonna do, right, because my abs also attach to my pelvis, right? You don't have lower abs, you have fibers that are lower in that whole front sheath of your abs, but they attach down there too. And so I want to kind of give that a little bit of stretch. So I'm going to go ahead and raise my arm, and then I'm a little teapot over to the side. And then I'm going to come out of that. I'm going to move in and out of that because it really doesn't feel super great and it is very tight. So I'm going to ease my way into that part of this stretch. So let's say this is number 3. I'm going to do 4 like this. I hope you guys like my music. YouTube has the best playlist. So now I'm gonna accentuate this stretch here by reaching this hand over to the other side, almost on a diagonal trajectory, with like a little bit of a bend. If you think ballerinas, like think about ballerinas and how they do that little baby back bend swoop bullshit. that's what I'm envisioning right now. So I'm going on an angle and back. And then once again, if you start to feel things not feel too good, any type of shooting pain or anything in your lower back from doing that, do not back bend, just bend to the side. This is number 3. And number 4. Awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the other side. Part of my issue with keeping up with my mobility routines is that, I love the hardcore part of training, sweating and lifting weights and slamming things and punching things. And then when it's time to calm the fuck down, I don't have the discipline to do that. For some reason, it makes me uncomfortable sometimes to try to relax, which is, I don't know, I'm figuring it out. But anyway, I like doing these videos with y'all because then it forces me to take care of myself in this way. So this is your sharing in my self-care. So thanks for being here. So Got that pelvis tucked, staying on top, shoulders over the hips. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do my side bend. Ooh, this side is tighter. This hip's got a little more issues. So that's 1. 2, if your balance isn't great, you can have a chair or something here next to you. That's 3. That's 4. Now, because I know this side is a little, it's a little special, it's actually kind of like burning a little bit more than the other side. That's a part of it. You might be feeling that. Ease into it. Only do it for a certain amount of time, and the next time do more maybe, right? And so now I'm doing a little bit of a bend and also going to the side, 2 directions, and back out. Once again, if I were not, trying to direct y'all through this, I would be quiet and just focus on my breathing. Right now I'm inhaling as I bend back this way, bend over, holding it for a second, and then exhaling as I come out of it. Okay? So that's our band-assisted kneeling hip flexor stretch. So this one is really going to get up in there and into that mechanic that I told you about with the pelvis kind of rotating and shifting forward and back during your gait. So this works, even if you just had a block or a couple of blocks, that could work too. Some padding, I don't know where I put my, 1 second, I'll be right back. Crunchy knees, need some padding. So on all 4s here, and what I'm doing is dropping this knee towards the ground and then hiking it back up. So I want to try to keep this bend in my knee, but I don't give the illusion that I'm kind of like, dropping down. And it's a straight drop down and then come up. Don't expect to touch the floor. This is number 3. Number 4, you should feel your core working. You should feel the hip that's on the elevated surface working. And I'm dropping down, and then I'm coming up. And I'm not using my chest or my fist to push myself up. It's got to be coming from the glute of the other side. I'm going to call that 6, 7, 8, good. And then I'll switch sides. Probably one of my favorite ones. 4, 5. I always get a nice little pop in there. 6, but it sets everything in place. 7, 8. So the hip that is here, it's almost like a hip hike that you're doing, so you should feel it, in that side. If it's not very well trained, you might definitely feel some burning going on there, but that's important. Your glute med is very important. I mean, all muscles are important really, but important in stabilizing your hip when you're running, when you're walking, when you're doing, kind of like anything. So it stops you from kind of tilting over this way, helps keep your pelvis level. So definitely important to train that. So that I would probably do for 2 to 3 rounds of 8 on each side. Depends on your tolerance and your time, right? But try to get 2 in if you can. Lastly, another kind of variation that has to do with the side shifting, but this time in a different direction. I'm going to have a block, and I'm going to be squeezing it between my legs. I'm going to maintain that pressure of me squeezing here. Not for dear life, right? But just to kind of like lock in my pelvic floor, placing one heel forward, and then I'm sliding the other one forward. So it's almost like you're doing like this with your feet on the ground, and the other one. And it's not going to be like some super duper huge movement, but you should see that you can slide it, you know, at least an inch, 2 inches. Keep that back up against the wall. Slide one, slide the other, keep squeezing the brick. Slide, slide, keep your back, your shoulders up against the wall. And I've been doing this for like a count of 16, so 32 total slides. So try to keep the backs of your legs on the floor. Don't bend your knees, it's straight legs. I've lost count already, but I'll do a couple more and we'll say that that is 16. Up, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. So that I've done for two sets. So that is all, folks. So I hope that helps bring you some relief. I can tell you firsthand that it has for me, and I would love to get your feedback and know how that has helped you. So I hope you all are well, staying warm. It's freezing out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye.